What's up, everyone? This is the God King Lord coming at you with a video. And in this video series, we're going to deal with a specific topic called tithes. You know, I'm here to bring out the facts about tithes, what the tithes is, and I'm going to be coming with scriptures proving that the tithes ain't money. You know, I hear in the so-called Christian church, a $2 whorehouse you call church, how they're teaching 10% of income is the tithes. 10% of somebody's income is the tithes. And the sad part about it is we have Hebrew Israelite schools like HOI, HYK, ISUPK, Ambassadors of Christ, teaching that nonsense, foolish doctrine that 10% of income is the tithes. And I'm here to say that 10% of income is not the tithes. And anybody who says it is a damn liar. And I have scriptures to prove it, and we're going to go into some history. So get set, because I got a whole lot of scriptures to go to. But the first scripture I'm going to go through, and you know how it is when I quote a scripture, pause it, get the scripture, then unpause it, resume play, and you can read along with me. The scripture that they love to go to set the stage, we'll find one in the New Testament, and we're going to precept that of a scripture in the Old Testament. Now, the New Testament, it's Hebrews the 7th chapter, verses 1 through 4. And we're going to go back to Hebrews, but we're going to get a scripture in Genesis the 14th chapter. Now, Hebrews the 7th chapter, verses 1 through 4 says, "For this Melchizedek, king of Salem, priest of the Most High God, who met Abraham returning from the slaughter of the kings and blessed him, to whom also Abraham gave a 10th part of all." Now, when you see this, gave a 10th part of all, these stupid pastors and these leaders in these Hebrew Israelite schools says, see, he gave a 10th of all. He gave a 10th of his personal wealth. He gave a 10th. No. When it says 10th of all, what we need to do is find out what the all is. But I'm going to read down a little bit more. And it says 10th part of all. First being the interpretation, king of righteousness, and after that also king of Salem, which is king of peace. So when it says gave a 10th part of all, what is it talking about? Well, let's do this. Let's turn to Genesis the 14th chapter, and we're going to start at verse 20. Then we're going to jump up, because jumping up, folks, you got to learn how to read. When you jump up and begin to read the story, you will see that these churches and a lot of these Hebrew Israelite schools are telling you a damn lie, because it messes up their money plan. So let's go to Genesis 14 right quick, because this scripture is popular that they go to. Genesis 14. And I want you to understand, they start at 20. And we're going to start at 22. We're going to start at verse 20. But then we're going to jump up. So Genesis 14:20, it says, "And blessed be the Most High God, which has delivered thine enemies into thy hand. And he gave him tithes of all." And so you will see, you will hear these pastors and these $2 whorehouses you call church, and you will hear these Hebrew Israelite leaders in these schools saying again, look, it's saying all. Look, it's saying all. Look at it, brother. It's saying all. What is it saying all? And then it says, "And the king of Sodom said unto Abraham, Give me the persons, and take the goods to thyself. And Abraham said to the king of Sodom, I have lifted up mine hand unto the Lord, or Yahweh, the Most High God, the possessor of heaven and earth, that I will not take from a thread even to a shoelace, and that I will not take anything that is thine, lest thou shouldest say, I have made Abraham rich. And notice that they always stop there. But let's go up to Genesis, the 14th chapter, and let's read with verse 14. And it says, and when Abraham heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his trained servants born in his own house, 318, and pursued them unto Dan. This is talking about his brother Lot. Abraham's brother Lot was kidnapped, and his family was kidnapped. And they not only took Lot and his family, but they also took the victuals, the goods. If you read up, you can start at Genesis 14, chapter 14, verse 13. And doing that and kidnapping him and his wife and taking his victuals, Abraham assembled a team out of his own house, 318, and pursued them unto Dan. Then it said in verse 15, and he divided himself against them, and he and his servant by night, and smote them, and pursued them into Hobah, which is on the left hand of Damascus. And he brought back all the goods. There it is. There's the answer that these Hebrew Israelite leaders and these so-called pastors don't want you to understand. He brought back all the goods. It didn't say he brought back money. And it says, and also brought again his brother Lot and his goods, and the women also, and of the people. And the king of Sodom went out to meet him after his return from the slaughter of Chedorlaomer, I believe I pronounced that wrong, and of the kings that were with him at the valley of Shavah, which is the king's Dale. Verse 18 says, and Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High God, like we read in Hebrews, the 7th chapter. And he blessed them and said, blessed be Abraham, Most High God, possessor of heaven and earth, and blessed be the Most High God, which hath delivered thy enemies into thy hands. And he gave him tithes of all. Tithes of all. Tithes of all. What did he give tithes of all? All that he brought back of the goods during the war. So first of all, in order for us, and you have to understand this too, what Abraham did was not under the tithing law. When you do research on the tithes, you could type in Babylonian tithes, and these tributes, Abraham was used to seeing the Egyptians and other people conquer somebody, and they always gave a tithe of all the spoils. So Abraham already knew of this. This wasn't something new. This was something old. Abraham already knew. And so because these other nations, whenever they win a victory, they gave tithes, to the king, and they divided the 90% of the spoils up amongst for each other. So the king of the king of Salem, Melchizedek, received tithes of the spoils of war. That's what the heck Abraham gave. So if we're going to tithe the way Abraham tithed, then everyone is going to have to wait till somebody is kidnapped, go rescue them, bring back all the spoils of that war, and you have to wait till Melchizedek, which had no father and no mother, formed to give tithes to Melchizedek. So let's go back to Hebrews, the 7th chapter, verses 3, and it says, without father, without mother, without this descent, having neither beginning of days nor end of life, but made like unto the Son of God, abideth a priest continually. Now consider how great this man was, unto whom even the patriarch Abraham, here is the question, the answer, gave the 10th of the spoils. He did not give 10% of no wealth. And don't hand me that crap. Well, back in the days, they didn't have that, because Abraham, for 400 pieces of silver, bought land for his father who died. For 400 pieces of silver. So Abraham had money, but the thing is, Abraham didn't tithe money. He gave 10th of the spoils of the war. So when it says gave tithes of all the spoils of the war. So the Bible's letting you know, everybody, y'all need to wake up and understand that what Abraham did was not under the tithing law. Because when Yahweh introduced the tithes to the children of Israel, he told the children of Israel what the tithes is. He told the children of Israel. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Leviticus, the 27th chapter. Let's see what the tithes is. You know, a lot of people want to talk about, they know the tithes this and the tithes that. You know, they don't know the tithes. And it says, Leviticus 27, verse 30. We're going to start there. Leviticus, the 27th chapter, and verse 30. And it says, and all the tithe of thy land, whether of the seed of the land or the fruit of the tree, is the Lord's, or is Yahweh. It is holy unto Yahweh. So every single seed of the tree or the seed of the land was made holy. When something is made holy, we know from Leviticus, the 20th chapter, verse 26, it tells us, and ye should be holy as I am holy. How Yahweh has severed us from other nation. So being holy means to be separate. So we see here, according to the scriptures, that Yahweh separated the seed of the tree and the seed of the land to be his tithes. Then it says in verse 31, and if a man will at all redeem all of his tithes, he shall add thereto the 5th part thereof. Now later on in this series, we're going to go to Numbers, the 18th chapter, because the Numbers, the 18th chapter is the first tithes. There's 2 tithes, and then every 3 years, there's an additional tithe. 3 tithes. So the first tithe is the first fruit. And the first fruit tithes you will find in Numbers, the 18th chapter. The second tithe is the feast tithes. That tithe is found in Deuteronomy, the 12th chapter. 14th chapter. And we can also use the 12th chapter too as well. But the third tithe, which is called the year of tithing, is found in also Deuteronomy, the 14th chapter, verses 28 and 29. But it's also letting you know in chapter 26. So when it's saying there, and it will be proven that if he redeemed all his tithes, so if he's supposed to tithe doing first fruit, that's in Numbers, the 18th chapter. If you redeem that tithe, then at the end of the growing season, your Deuteronomy, the 14th chapter, you have to add a 5th part to it. So 5th part is 20%, so now it's 30%. There's a penalty. But all that will be proven later on in this series. Then I'm going to go ahead, and it says, and concerning, this is what Yahweh is saying, the hell with what your pastors are saying, the hell with what your Hebrew Israelite leaders are saying. GMS also teaches that 10% income crap. And concerning the tithes of the herd, or of the flock, even of whatsoever passes under the rod, the 10th shall be holy unto Yahweh. So if you have 100 sheep, for every 10th sheep is that pass under the rod, that is separated or made holy unto Yahweh. If you have rams or lambs or goats, the 10th shall be passed under the rod. That 10th shall be holy, which means it's set aside for Yahweh. So let's review right quick. Notice there's no mention of money whatsoever. There is absolutely no mention of money whatsoever. And I'm going to come back with part 2. Stay tuned.